Hi, very good morning to all of you. Thank you very much uh, to, to the organizers for actually bringing us together on this platform. It's really, if you look into it, it's kind of a quite diversified, from industry perspective, a platform wherein next an hour or so we are going to discuss some of the implications of data and AI in the day-to-day operations and how businesses around the globe are actually transforming themselves using data and AI as a concept. Leveraging AI for competitive advantage, we all know, gives businesses a new insights and actually helps to kind of outperform your competition. It helps to understand your customer better. Data-driven analytics, machine learning, Gen AI, and AI as a concept is actually helping to not only automate processes but also boost the efficiency and performance in the market. The AI advantage is all going to set apart a business from their competition. There's a lot of hype around the AI as well, and we are going to talk about few of the nuances, but definitely it's going to be one of the most disruptive technology of our ages. Undoubtedly, it is here to stay, and today's AI capabilities are only the beginning of what's possible. Now, with this brief background and context, let me start with few of the themes which we thought as a group is going to be a beneficial from the audience's perspective, where we are going to share some of the experiences around these themes. So, the first theme is around the whole the why piece, why this AI is gaining shape. So we all know that AI is often considered as a driver for the industry 4.0, and how do digital first organizations are already harnessing the power of AI for the competitive advantage, for the market penetration, as well as understanding your customer. Now, I will request Kush to comment from his experience, uh, what exactly distinguishes the early adopters, like in your case, uh, and in particular in your industry. Um, what are those strategies you have thought through, and while implementing, what are the outcomes you have derived? Over to you, Kush.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question and glad to be here. Nice to see everyone here. Uh, from our context, we see a lot of data silos right now. Being built within organizations. Uh, let's start with the first question, which is probably what's a digital first organization with respect to AI, right? I think a digital first organization in terms of AI would be one where probably innovation is fostered in terms of experimentations and trials. The right set of digital software is adopted to have interdisciplinary collaboration. You have a nice data infrastructure that you could actually utilize to in order to use AI to your advantage. And with all of that context, what does that mean for an organization? The first thing probably would be customer experience. That for me would be the biggest value add, because if you could make your customers experience elevate by even 10%, like in terms of revenue, that's a much bigger impact. And second would be probably operational excellence, especially for companies that are heavy into hardware products, physical products like noise, where we have to do a lot of, supply chain activities. Third would probably be, constant innovation culture. And that for me would be a future, moat for the business. Now, again, like in terms of how we kind of moved about that within noise, the day one, I still remember when I joined the company, the founders asked me to evaluate all the revenue channels that we had and add to that if possible, right? And the question was typically, Kush, what should we do about our revenue channels? Should we open up more revenue channels? Should we start doing further different kinds of products? We are already big into smartwatches. We have a 30% market share. for India. We are world's third or fourth largest, wearables company in terms of volume of products that we sell. What could we do more, right? So the first question, or the first, maybe the thought from my mind was, before I start cooking up a new dish, let me look at the refrigerator and try to find out what do I have there, right? And my first question was that, guys, do we have a data practice in noise? And the answer was kind of very surprising, that we had the data, but not as a, not in a form that we could particularly optimize, utilize, or try to do AI or machine learning. I think that's too far-fetched if you don't have the data infrastructure in place. So my first thoughts were to try to organize the data and to try to bring a single source of truth in the company, where all the companies, interdisciplinary, all departmental data should get streamlined and should work from a warehousing perspective, should have a data practice, should have a single source of truth for the entire organization. And that, I think, was one of the foundational elements in order to go about the whole AI journey. The second thing, what I see currently in the organizations across at least our vertical, is to be able to say that we are moving ahead in the whole AI domain. Companies have to look at talent acquisition in a very big way. I think the biggest value add that you could do in terms of AI today would be to align your leadership, first of all, right? Align your leadership to be able to invest the human resources, the financial resources, the time resources, and the effort that's required to kind of go after the AI strategy in a big way. If the leadership's aligned, the second step would be to make your organization as a favorable, let's say, talent magnet, to attract the right kind of people in the organization at the leadership level as well as below him or her. And I think that's fundamental to the AI adoption. And I see that, to the question you asked, that the biggest reason companies lag behind is you know an unclear AI strategy, unwillingness to experiment, maybe because of financial constraints or whatever, be the mindset. But to not have a clear AI strategy, to not have that beginner's mindset of experimenting with AI, you can't have, again, like I was discussing with the fellow panelists about an ROI number to begin with. I think that's the wrong way to look at an AI strategy. That, what's my ROI in 3 months from now? That's one way you are definitely bound to fail. If you promise an AI ROI on day zero, I think those are not the right ways to look at it. The companies should adopt a strategy of experimenting, iterating, working on consumer experiences, working on operational excellence, working on talent acquisition. And I think that's where the big value add will be. And companies who don't do this today, where leaderships are not aligned, where resources are not aligned, I think they are bound to kind of try to catch up, later in the game, when these bigger organizations will start pivoting with, heavy, AI adoption.
Thanks, Kush. From the wearable industry, let's shift focus to fintech. So, Anmol, if you can also share your thought on the same theme which we just discussed.
Yeah, for sure. I think he almost covered like all the big points, but I'm just gonna give you why that we should be moving towards AI and stuff. Like, what are the instant benefits that company can actually, gain out of it? So the first one is enhanced customer experience, right? Your chatbots, IVRs, your level one escalations and supports can be automated right away. So you have operational efficiencies, and you can route right I would say escalations to right level supports, right? Second is data driven decision making, understanding your data, just witnessing, doing deep dive analysis, uncovering patterns, trends to understand what has worked, what has not, right? And then basing your strategy based on that. Predictive analytics is another part where you can predict what are the consumer demands, all the north star for the company KPIs, how are they going to trend in future, right? So, and you can plan and pivot your company strategies, business strategies based on that. Risk mitigation, so fraud, anti-money laundering, transaction monitoring system, right? All those can be automated to flag, concerns. Then you can talk about, I think this covers like mainly everything, but then optimizing your company funnels, right? So marketing initiatives, personalization and experimentation at scale, right? So all those things can be, it can be an instant big win. But again, this is a process, it's a journey. It's not like, you can achieve in one day. You'll have to plan and work towards that. So I think this covers like almost everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Anmol. Let's shift to the next theme now, and with the whole context set that it is the need of the hour. Now comes the question that how to implement it and at what levels in the organization. Correct? I mean, you can do it at the multiple hierarchies within your customer organization with your product play, or you can have your organizational play over here. And one of the things which we have seen is that the whole integration of your AI strategy uh, with with your user persona is something which needs to be thought through before you start the journey. So if we may now invite Mr. Jahid, if you can explain how
All-
did you manage this?
Yep. So thank you for the question. So I represent for revenue. We are into a fashion industry, fast forward fashion industry, and fashion industry has its own challenges. Uh, so the first thing is that it is, as I said, that is a very fast moving, and fashion, because it's very direct to consumer. Customer wanted to try new things every time they visit you and the store, either digitally or in the stores. They expect something new. Yep. So to cater such demand, and I think the question is around the integration strategy. See, actually, the challenge that we have faced. So we are there in this business for more than 10 years, and if you see how the industry has evolved over the past 5 years, before COVID until now, so the transformation, the speed of transformation is at a very rapid pace. Before COVID, brands generally, typically used to have channel-specific strategies. Like you were heavily focused on offline retail, brick and mortar. You have your systems designs for that. Then multi-channel started. You started selling online, but online is primarily. I'm talking about the before COVID area. Is primarily to liquidate stock. It's for discounting products. Then when actually COVID started, the brands realized that you can also sell it full price on online as well. And that's where when the lockdown has started and all, so cross channel started working, which means that customer can shop online, and you have to fulfill from the stores because your inventory got stuck at the stores. For fashion, for brand like us, 80% of inventory was there in the stores, so we had to open the stores, but because of the lockdown, the stores were not open. So we'll have to actually fulfill the products from the store. That felt the need, to integrate your stores to the online channels. That's how the omni channel started. But actually, what happens, because it is related, the question is related to integrations. We never get, as a tech person, we never get time, to create a proper design. Like, how do you design the backend, the integrations? And what happens that as per the need comes, you were stitching one channel to the another. And as coach mentioned that it becomes the data, though, because through every channel we were collecting the data, so the data gets organized in silos. It is not talking to each other. And in today's time, where you never know from where the customer is starting the journey, like how the customer is discovering the product. And it's very omni-channel now, because the customer can explore the products online and come to the store, to buy that product, or it can be vice versa also. But now, how do you organize your tech structure in that way so that you can actually serve your customer from wherever it is coming? So to now we get the chance, because now things are getting stable and more. Now for last 1 or 2 years, ever since this generative AI has come, it has made you think like what should be your right architecture. How do you integrate all your channels? Because now we're not talking about one channel or online channel or two channels. We're talking about omni channels. Social media has also started giving the revenues. It has become a revenue channels now. Video commerce is another emerging technology. AI is another technology where you have digital assistants which can help you get more revenues to the business. So all these are new channels. How do you organize your tech architecture in that way so that you can actually serve that channel? So we have created a strategy. We have to actually act fast on that. We are fixing our backend infrastructure. We are ensuring that that we have a kind of an presentation layer on top. If I talk about slightly on the tech side, and we have an integration layer in our middleware. We are focusing on from point-to-point integrations, moving away from point-to-point integrations to an asynchronous is based integration. I think my tech colleagues would understand that. We are creating a data lakes because AI can only work when you have data organized in a right way. Today, for a very small use case, I wanted to provide an experience to our customer who comes online, and it's a very genuine use case that they wanted to inquire about. So they placed the order, they wanted to inquire about, okay, where is their delivery? Now, I wanted to put an AI engine there, a generative AI, which is pretty much possible, wherein the customer can ask on our chatbot any point of time, okay, where is my delivery? Now, I can't provide the answers despite knowing that the technology can support me because the data is organized in silos. The data is not there. I can't stitch my customer information with my logistics information because the last mile delivery information is with the logistics partner. How do I match the order, the customer, and the logistics information together? That is the biggest challenge we are facing in the technology. We know the answers, but it takes time. We have a strategy. I think to answer precisely. So we have a strategy, to fix our architecture. That's our integration strategy, largely to say, and then only the AI can work.
Correct. No, no, I fully agree, and I'm sure audiences would also resonate this well because without an underlying data integration strategy, all the use cases which you are hearing will not make any sense, or it will not give the right outcome which we are expecting from those use cases. From fashion, let's shift to mobility. Sanjeev, if you can throw light on the same theme, please.
Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot. So I think when we are talking about AI, so I think everyone is mentioned data is the main thing. So before jumping on the AI strategy, there should be a data strategy. Similarly, when we are talking about building something sort of AI for the customer, we can think how AI can solve our problem. So think as a you as a customer for the AI. So how typically tech used to do, they build app, they build web for the customer, but at the same time they build sort of operations dashboard or internal tool for their team as well, so that they can reduce the time, reduce the operations. Similarly, we can treat AI so that AI can sort out or reduce the work you as a customer. Because if you believe I'm the customer for AI, and if I can build something sort of AI for myself or for my team, then definitely you can build next level of product for the customer as well. So definitely data should be the first one where you can have the data strategies where every data should be in a single data warehouse or data lake where people or the organization can be data driven. Now we are in a stage or we are in an era where you can use AI to reduce your operations work, to reduce your marketing work or sort of sales and everything to the some extent. And when it's come Gen AI into the picture, there are lots of use cases. Let's say using Gen AI you can build a dashboard, just writing an LP, you can right away build the dashboard instead of when operations team or some sort of business team coming to you, hey, build me dashboard, and it's taking you 4 or 5 days or a week, you can instantly, you can say, hey, or a operations team, you can just write it down, number of trips for my last week, or number of rides going in my last month, and it can right away show you the dashboard or bar chart. So this is the way you yourself treat as a customer for the AI, right? And you can reducing the operations work, marketing work, and sales work. Even you can bring this in a product team as well, because usually how product team used to work, like, is if there is a error in app or API or web, product team used to take 1 or 2 days to connect to the tech team. Hey, what is the logs are showing us? What is their error? You can definitely, you can showcase these logs or integrate these logs to your NLP or Gen AI. That product team can instantly check the logs or can understand what's going on within a minute, or within a, you can say, 10 or 15 minutes. That is how you can start using AI by your team, and you can understand what is the power of exactly the AI is when you're reducing sort of 1 or 2 days or even half days, right? And then you can understand the capabilities of AI, the capabilities of data, and then definitely it's just a matter of understanding your, customer needs, so that you can, I mean, it's quite easy to understand the customer needs, and then it's a plug and play only. The next comes, and I think it's a everywhere story. You have to manage the, management or upper level of, CXOs to just to convince, hey, I want to implement AI or bring talent to build the AI, as my friend mentioned. So definitely it will be a, I think it's a case for everywhere, and it's a difficult to convince them as well. And at the same time, uh, uh, when we are saying that we can implement AI or data strategy, but bringing right talent for this, work is also, let me tell you, it's very, very difficult, because everyone talking about AI and data, there are very few number of people who have experience on building these data strategies, bringing all the data in a single place where we can, make the organization as a data driven. Then we can only, talk about AI and all these things. So it's very difficult. And if you can bring this talent, if you have this, network in the market, then it's again a 50% of work you have done to convince your management. Then it's again a discussion on the CTC, and then convincing your, management, because again the infra also bring a cost to you, timeline also bring a cost to you, because see, business only business team only talk about business. They don't care how much time you are taking, what you are building. They have, and this is the right way, because they are thinking on business. They are talking about the revenue because they are doing their own work. It's your part. You have to convince them that AI can reduce this work, we can save this much of cost, we can bring this much of revenue, and we can bring this much of business value. I think the strategy should be here is not to build the whole product. What usually I used to hear from my seniors, or implemented in few of my previous organizations, even trying to implement here in Gensol EV as well, you can build the prototype sort of things. So if you build a prototype and running prototype, not on the, not on just to use cases and the slides and the dashboard, it's not enough to, convince to your management, because they are running the whole company. They are also connecting with multiple people. So I think building a small prototype, connecting with the business value, connecting with the business returns, you can showcase the demo, so that they can convince at not that level, but yes, at some level, so that they can understand exactly how AI is solving my problem, right? When business able to understand that, yes, this is something wow kind of experience and solving my organization or business problem, which is like this work could be done, I mean, it will take 4 or 5 days, but it is doing in 15 minutes or 1 hour. then if they are convinced, then they are okay not for hiring 5-10 people, but yes, 2-3 people, so that at least you can uh, start building the prototype or start building your first phase of MVP, so that again, I mean, it's value to the business. So it's a process for the techie or data leader to convince your management, because everything is new, because they are also doing sort of experimenting or some sort of in their business as well. So it's difficult for them to think about tech, bring some cost, bring some time, because again, there are lots of happening at their level as well. So I think yes, this is how my experience is.
Thank you. So bringing efficiency first for your internal stakeholders, generating value for them, getting buy-in for the business case which you are planning to put up for the management approval, and of course, supplemented it with some kind of a live POC slash demo on organization's data, so that they can also touch and feel data. That's one. Another takeaway for at least me, what Sanjeev explained, is that on the data strategy side or integration side, it's very important to also understand the outcomes which you are trying to derive. And in this case, he touched upon, let's say, conversational AI or conversational BI for his users. Even for that, you need to have your data integration strategy in place, because between the data lake and conversation AI, there's going to be a layer which will be kind of using, let's say, intelligent automation or RPA or chatbot, and then helping the users to do the conversation AI. So very well said. Thanks for your viewpoints. Shifting focus now to another theme. Now we have seen that yes, it is important, and we know how to do a step one, which is a strategy, the data strategy. Next comes, let's assume you have built some models, use cases, etc. Now you have to go back to your business, correct? I mean, you need to see how the AI use cases can be adopted in your business, in your ecosystem, in your stakeholders, day-to-day work, and that's where the whole data quality aspect comes into play, because your users are doing the similar set of activity maybe in X number of days, but they are quite confident about the output, because that's a credible output for them, because they are relying, running the business using that output. And now you are saying, hey, please, let's start using my AI generated outcome. I'm sure there's going to be some tussle in between, which we call it in our parlays as UAT. So let's think about this particular aspect, because this will again be a, a kind of a milestone between the success and failure of the AI built models in your organization. So Shakti, you are doing it day in day out. Can you throw us some light, depending on the kind of experiences you have in this field, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
So, what are the challenges when you implement AI, right? So, first of all, what I want to mention is that all of ML and Gen AI we talk about is AI, but not all AI is ML. You can generate AI-based application using simple data analytics, like data mining and all that. So, the first thing is AI is all about data, right? And like everyone here has spoken about it. If I want to build an machine learning algorithm, I cannot do it, without having access to data. What it means is that I need careful planning, right? I need to have a data repository, a data warehouse, or a data lake. And now there's a concept called data lake house also. So these things have to be in place. And it's not that you just have good quality of data, you need to have good depth also of data. So let's say like a company has been there for 20 years and you want to build an LSTM application, like to do the sales forecast, and that's a deep learning algorithm, but you only have 3 or 4 years of data. You will be forced to use shallow networks, like shallow neural networks, and that will limit the accuracy of it. So that is one thing that has to be there. The system, the company has to be prepared to invest in data analytics, have data repositories before you start building AI systems. The other thing is, and I will give you a practical example which I've experienced, there's something called like collaborative filtering. What it does is, when you do a search for a hotel, let's say in Dubai, there are thousands of hotels there. You want to see the most relevant hotel. How do you do that? So like that is based on past searches and past bookings and all that. So like we develop an algorithm, and now we show the most relevant hotels to based on who has logged into the system, right? And now the conversion from the front page goes from 10% to 70%. Now, like here is the challenge. Now the business person says that I have contracted these 10 hotels, right? And the part of the agreement is that we will show these hotels on the first page, but we have no history of those hotels. Now you have to combine your machine learning, whatever the machine learning output is, and with the business requirements, and like that throws a model away. I'm like, it goes out for a toss. So you have to continuously adapt, like machine learning strategies to be in sync with the business. The other thing is, it's not that like you train the model once and you are done. It requires continuous training. So ML ops becomes important, availability of hardware, the systems, all these things actually, like become very relevant. Now, once you have built a system, so for example, we have built a voice bot using GPT-4, and you can say, show all my flight bookings for the future, right? It's going to list all the flight bookings with origin, destination, PNR, everything. And then you go and say, okay, cancel my flight with PNR so and so, and it will actually go and cancel it, right? This is where we have combined the capabilities of Gen AI with firing an API. This was earlier not possible because Gen AI LLM models will give you content, but they will not do the work for you. But here we are asking it to do the work for you. Now this is all done in newer language, newer frameworks. Yatra systems, are not ready to integrate this, right? So you have done all the homework, everything is there, but now you're not integrated. So these are all the practical challenges that we see, which actually come up from time to time. Then you need to have a team of data stewards. You need to have a team of people who understand data. For example, like when we get hotel bookings and the city says New Delhi, right? And the country code is missing. You cannot assume that the country is India because there are like more than 10 New Delhis in US alone, right? So the hotel could be in US. So how to handle these things? You need to have domain experts, subject matter experts, and they're not very easy to find. These are some of the challenges which I feel, but there are ways to handle it. Also, like new laws like DP laws have like come up. All the machine learning algorithms require personal data to some extent. Then you can always go and mask it. But if you want to run a campaign and target a particular customer, you may not be allowed to do that in future. So these challenges to keep up in mind here.
Sure. Thank you very much, Shakti. You touched upon another aspect, which is around not only just data quality aspect of it, but also you need to have data stewards, in your ecosystem who kind of vouch for the work which you and your team, are doing and kind of validate it from the business value perspective. Definitely data stewards, or nowadays there's a new term which is like AI stalwarts also in the organization. So that's another way of looking into it. That how early we can start involving our business users into the work which we are doing, so that they are an integral part of the whole product or use case outcome when it comes in the production mode. So very well said. Thanks, Shakti. Moving on to Dr. Manjeet, please. Similar theme and your experience, please.
Thanks, Imanshu. So let me set the context first. So I represent Ecom Express. We are a third-party logistics company. What it means is we move shipment from point A to point B for our customers, specifically focusing on e-commerce domain. Now, it involves having a network spanning the entire populous regions of our country, and what it means is that we have got around more than 3,000 facilities catering to our purposes, and thousands of vehicle movements on a daily basis, and over 50,000 last mile workforce that we have to manage. Now, if we are building AI in such a setting, it requires a lot of uh, being very careful, because there we are impacting the lives of our 50,000 last mile workforce, and things could be very hard to get adopted. And for example, people are set to do certain things in a particular way, and now you cannot come all of a sudden and start stating that do it like this using our AI models. So the solution that we have found here is that, first of all, your solutions should be should not be developed in silos. You should work together with your workforce and make them a part of your development process. This is one of the things that you should be doing. So they will so you will get the real feedback that you are solving their lives rather than changing their working style. The second thing is that when you are making these changes, things should be incremental in nature. You should not be making big changes in one go. Make smaller changes incrementally, and then things become more easy to get adopted. Another thing is of data quality. So of course the data should be there, but even if data is there, there could be issues with data quality. So what we have done is we have written data cleaning pipelines after we capture the data, so that we make sure that the data that we are using to build our models is clean and they are providing good results. That is regarding the concern of data quality. Another challenge could be if we try to solve certain problems that are technically very complex. So there could be problems related to where do we locate our facility, and at times, like, these problems could be solved very easily by humans, and they are to be solved very rarely, once a quarter or once in a year. So perhaps it is better to have your priorities correct and focus on problems where you impact a very large scale, rather than focusing on problems that are catering to a very less used use case. So that is another thing that we should be careful about. And another challenge that we have faced is around expectation setting. So one thing one needs to remember that these AI models are all probabilistic in nature. Things can very easily go south for a fraction of probability, and they are not always correct because things are probabilistic in nature. Just to give you an example, we have models to decide which packages we need to take through air and which packages should go through the surface route. So we should not be sending the dangerous goods through air, and because of the laws. And at times things go wrong, because when the product description is not complete or vague, like, we end up predicting incorrect. And the expectation should be set among the users that at times things can be wrong. So this is like very important thing, but which we have realized over time, that if you tell upfront that for some of the, if a percentage of the cases things could be wrong as well. So this is good, and if product can be built around this, making sure that when the things are wrong, the product takes care of all these things in a natural way. So that is something that has helped us. And just to add some humor, that people have got expectation that whether your model is generative in nature or not. So because of this rise of chat gpt and all these generative AI, so a lot of times this question is asked to us, and Shakti mentioned that not all models need to be very complex in nature, and this is the case with us as well. At times, a simple model helps us and create value for us, and it need not be generative in nature. So that is something that we have faced a lot. So this is what all I wanted
Yeah.
to add.
Thanks. We can't agree with you more. Thanks, Dr. Manjeet. Shifting towards the next theme, now since we are talking about the need and then the data integration, the data strategy, uh, even the data quality and the AI adoption, uh, next topic which is on everybody's mind is the whole responsible AI, trust-based AI, or the ethical aspect of the outcomes of the AI model. So we'll take opinion from Anmol. What are the various uh, challenges you have seen around this theme and how you have handled it?
I think we all need to understand that knowledge and intelligence, there's a very fine line. And also that with every new thing which is coming up, there is a responsibility which also comes along with it, right? So ensuring that your data privacy is in place. Nowadays, I'll give you a very short example. My mom come across my mom comes across like a lot of videos, and she starts believing in that, right? So how to be more responsible, how to ensure that deep fake is not taking over control, right? So the governance is going to be the key going down the line, and I'm sure that with time, more responsible initiatives are going to come into play. More regulatories will ensure that this is not being misused to the potential. So ensuring that there is privacy, ensuring there is security, robustness, leakages and threats can be taken care of. Then talking about the challenges that people are facing through, I just wanted to outline on the previous question and the layering of this theme is that interpretability and also explainability of an AI system. This is one of the biggest concerns that a lot of people have. How an AI is approaching a output or a problem statement is that we need to understand and build a governance body along it, right? So these are like major concerns which I feel will be taken care of down the line as we are evolving. And we also mentioned about open sources like Chat GPT and everything. We've seen that the lineage of these, GPT versions has been taken care of like very fastly. So one came, then two came in a span of like 1.5, 2 years. Now we're sitting at 4 and 5, and I witnessed that every responsible versions would be coming like very sooner with all the regulations coming into play. And I was also at a very a recent event which was sponsored by Google. So what they're also doing is and ensuring, like, I know a lot of big companies will be doing that down the line. So anything which is coming out of their native systems, they're keeping a watermark which cannot be removed, right? So I'm showing this is one of the examples, like, how everybody, every company, every system can ensure that we are going through compliance, regulatory concerns, and making sure that the information and the AI systems outputs which we are feeding back into the systems or making it publicly available follow all the governing norms, right? So I think
Yeah.
I'll end here.
Sure. Thanks, Anmol. Shakti, you also deals with a lot of customer data on day-to-day basis, and this whole responsible AI is something which is on everybody's mind. So how you are kind of taking certain practical steps to handle it?
Sure, Himanshu. So I'll start with an example, regarding fraud detection. All right. So just imagine there is a citizen of Libya who visits Dubai, visits a travel agent in Dubai, wants to make a booking for a hotel in Punta Cana, which is in Dominican Republic, and uses his wife's credit card, who happens to be an American citizen. The system will immediately flag it, right? It's a red flag. But should it be a red flag? Is it a red flag because Libya is a low trust deficit, like a trust deficit country, or is it because that there are two ethnicities involved here? Is that a problem? How to handle these issues, right? So in order to train that model, these kind of biases have to be handled. Otherwise, every time a person makes a booking in Dubai and is not an Emirati, that will be flagged, right? So you need to have the right data set for it. And how to generate the right data set, how to monitor it, you definitely need to have an AI governing council. I mean, there is something called data governance, which actually takes care of data rationalization, data lineage, make sure the data is correct. Similarly, you need an AI governance council, and this is what I'm trying to implement. At my current location. Then the thing is, sometimes you use a black box model, and it is AI based. What is responsible AI? Explainable AI. I want the model to tell me how it came to that decision. What algorithm was used, right? Something like that. If you look at, there's a website which is like Google search. I forget the name. It's AI website. If you say, okay, what's the recipe of this dish? It will print the recipe and is going to tell you where it got the data from, right? So that kind of explainable API like helps. The other thing, and we don't generally face that, but at some stage we may all face is, if AI does something wrong, who's actually responsible for it? That's a big ethics issue. And you might have heard of an incident that a robotic arm actually malfunctioned and it proved to be fatal to the worker, right? So who's responsible for that? Is it the company? Is the person who wrote the code? Is it the third company who actually provided the robotic arm? These things, we have to continuously look for. Then the other thing is DPDP law, digital privacy protection law, the GDPR law, the HIPAA laws. There's a similar consumer protection law in the state of California, right? So you have to be able to, navigate through all this and make sure that none of the laws are violated just because you are using GenAI.
Thanks, Shakti. Just a few days back, I have read somewhere that an AI humanoid is now actually started getting seat in the board meetings. So you can imagine where it's leading to, wherein AI robot is also sitting in a room where there is a business strategy getting discussed, where the competition landscape is kind of considered, and a new product is also being discussed. So that's the that's the next wave. Thank you. Shakti. Moving towards, so we have talked about customer, correct? I mean, and who better than here in the panel than Saurabh, who can actually share his experience, how AI is actually helping his customers, and what all different steps he has already taken, which he can share, and of course, what all things are in pipeline from future perspective. So more on the customer experience, recommendation engine, chatbots, all of this stuff, which is like a front office transformation, how AI is helping. Let's hear it from Saurabh. Saurabh, what you?
Yep. Thanks, Himanshu, and happy to be here. From a when we talk about customer experience, all of us talked about AI and business. How AI is moving ahead in the business, right? While there can't go a day wherein every one of our lives is not touched by AI, right? If in any form or application we interact with AI on a daily basis, and whether it is a news story or whether it's a working application that people are using, we touch upon that every day. Yesterday only I was looking at LinkedIn, and there was a use case which somebody has generated on Gen AI. I was talking to Shakti in the morning about it. It was about a parent teaching his son through the Gen 4.0, and the Gen 4.0 was tutoring the son about Pythagoras theorem, complete step by step, right? And a lot of things are changing as well around us with the help of AI, right? While when we talk about customer experience, things from a basic perspective are still there. What customers want is, whenever they reach out to a business, they want that business should know me, they should understand why I am calling, they should have that context, right? They should connect me to an employee or a person who understands me, has the complete background information, has the complete context about me, and is not asking the very mundane queries from me, right? While from an employee's perspective, their basic needs are that they should be an expert at what they are providing services for, right? They should have the right guidance at the right time, and they should have the resources available to them while they're talking to the customer. Not they shouldn't have to search for a lot of things there, right? There are four key pillars of functionality, that we take care of, from Genesis perspective, that should be there in a complete customer journey, starting from the customer who is there on your website searching for something, or reaching out to an employee or an agent, and then moving on further to automate things, and then to optimize as well. So the first pillar that we talk about is predicting why the customer is there, right? Doing predictive engagement with those customers who are there on your website, right? And then predicting what is the use case or what is the reason that this customer is reaching out to us, and maybe providing a solution to that customer right there and then, right, to save on the resources cost. Second thing is automation of things, right? So automation, generally when we talk about automation, it is always looked upon that it will, eat up on my resources and the thing, and there will be losses from a human resources perspective. But when we look at automation, we should look at it from a scalability perspective. When we want to scale up operations, we should look at automation and giving all kind of mundane activities to that automation, so that the employees who are after the automation comes into picture should be working as an expert on those topics. Simple examples of automation are chat bots or voice bots or the conversational IVR that we do, right? And the third stage that or the third pillar of functionality that we take into consideration is augmentation of AI to the human resources, right? Providing the right set of information to the employees or to the agents when they need it, while they're conversing with the with the customer. They should get the right information at that point in time, so that they have all the information that they need to provide to the consumer. Then the last stage or the last pillar of functionality is optimizing on all of the data that we have collected in the first three stages, right? Doing analytics on top of the data, which is available to the after all these stages. And then a very simple example is doing speech analytics, understanding recorded 100% of those recorded calls, and understanding what is the trend that going on with the consumer of yours, what is the sentiment that they have, analyzing if that sentiment is moving towards positive side or negative side, what are the reasons for it, and then getting actionable, working on those actionable insights basically to strategize better on this. And while we are doing all this, the platform, whichever AI platform you talk about, right, it should be secure and trusted at the same time. And what we talk about is that AI platform should be native to whichever customer experience platform that you're using. Why is that? Because you can add on multiple layers of integration, but again, it will result into data silos, which I think everybody talked about. That data is not unified; it is available, but it is available in silos, right? So that native thing is very important. And then the AI platform should be extensible, right? It should have the capability to integrate with other third-party applications as well, so that it is not just one data source that it is referring to, right? It has access to a lot of data sources, and then need basis access that data, provide recommended solutions, provide personalized solutions to those customers as well. That's my 2 cents.
Thanks a lot, Saurabh. We are at the top of the hour. Before we conclude uh, and move over to some Q&A session, we will have a round for each of the panelists to kind of give a takeaway, at least one takeaway from the discussion which we just had. So Sanjeev, we will start with you. Takeaway, very crisp, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I think the takeaway is what I understand is the data strategies. What I understand, definitely we can implement the AI, but data is the first problem that everyone is facing. The data strategy, data is, sorry, it's not in a single place. So that's the problem I think what I have understood.
Thanks. Yeah, Saurabh.
Uh, in a new age, we talk about those slangs, right? People talk about FOMO, fear of missing out. I think in the business industry, it's FOBO, which is fear of becoming obsolete if we don't use AI. You know, I think some of the use cases can do without AI as well, but whenever we are implementing AI, we should not think about FOBO. We should think about how we can improve the customer experience around that. That's my takeaway.
Dr. Manjeet.
Uh, the takeaway that I will tell is think about these AI systems as probabilistic in nature and build your products around these in the same manner so that they account for the cases when things go south.
Thanks. Yeah, Kush.
My biggest probably takeaway would be for organizations to be able to start thinking from experimentation point of view and not just stick to a set of vendors and existing technologies. I was interestingly looking at a Sam Altman interview 2 days back, and he was asked a very interesting question: what should the company's AI strategy be in today's age? He said there's only two strategies. One strategy is build on top of a stack that you see in the world today, and it's going to get more and more populated. A lot of vendors will start popping up, chatbots, AI chatbots, ये वो. The second strategy is build for tomorrow, which is think about what could AI do maybe 6 months from now. Yesterday, GPT 4.0 was released, and it brought in a completely different set of features, and it blew people's mind away, right? And what people were trying to do maybe 2 months ago is not at all relevant now. The latest startup that I ventured into called Neander, we are looking at revenue making opportunities and not just chatbots or cost cut downs or customer support agents. So yeah, that would be my contribution.
Thanks, Kush. Shakti.
So my takeaway, I would say, is a bit philosophical. I mean, yes, you should do experiment, definitely, but the fact that something does exist does not mean that you have to use it, right? And the second thing is that, I remember reading a book in my college days. It was actually part of my curriculum, so I had no choice. But the book was good, it was by Bertrand Russell. It says small is beautiful. There's a reason why people say that. If you keep things simple, the answers may lie there. You don't have to make you don't have to make your life very complex.
Thank you.
I think to me, AI is definitely a revolution. It's creating a disruption in the market, but we need to live with disruptions. Such disruptions will continue to happen. And my message to my internal organization is that because for this disruption, we're doing some kind of a transformation. We'll have to do that, otherwise we'll be stay behind. But this transformation is now a continuous journey. Earlier, the transformation used to happen once in a decade and all, but nowadays it happens very frequently. AI is bringing that transformation, but we need to create a strategy in such a way that we are ready for such transformations happens very frequently.
Thanks, Anmol.
I would say that we all are lucky that we are witnessing this transformative journey and then we are a part of it. So before you jump into how we can leverage AI, you need to understand what your business and data strategies are, where this is going to help you, what challenges and pitfalls you might witness down the line. As one of my peers said, like keep it simple. Knowledge is in abundance, but do we need to use it? If we need to, then where we can capitalize it. So having that deep understanding before we get onto the ship, I think will make more sense rather than just using whatever is available and then coming to a dead end and understanding that this is not scalable and sustainable in a long run, right? So having that strategy locked in before we get started is, I think, my recommendation to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are done here, and floor is open for questions, please.
First of all, let me congratulate you. A fantastic discussion on the most hot topic in the market today on AI. And thanks for sharing your perspectives on various aspects, operational aspects, and the use cases and everything. Very, very well done. My name is Ratan, and I represent Oracle Corporation. We're a technology company into data and AI products. My question is very simple. We've done a lot of research on AI projects, and a lot of projects, as somebody mentioned, fail. fail due to certain reasons. AI projects that are embarked on fail. Then they don't see the end of light. In your experience, maybe anybody, maybe Kush or anybody can answer, what is your measurement of a successful AI project? How do you measure a successful AI project?
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game right now. Yeah, a lot of. So I'll explain probably with the noise context. We've been trying to work with different AI strategies, everything from generative AI in terms of design. Any organization that I know of has a very strong limitation on the design aspects. Designers need freedom. Designers need time to experiment and build, and companies generally are hard pressed on time. So the kind of freedom that a designer would demand is not the luxury that every founder can afford. And we did a lot of experimentation. Mid Journey came up, DALI came up, and a lot of different generative AI systems came up. We took subscriptions. The problem that we faced was when we call something as a failed experiment. I think the failure arises from not having like a top level strategy around that vertical. In our case, it was typically that once you took a subscription, let's say for Mid Journey, who would be the stakeholder that will learn how to use Mid Journey? Do you expect the designer to become technical enough to start working on Mid Journey, or does he only do his creative endeavors? Does a technical person take the ownership of generative AI, or does a product person take an ownership of generative AI in terms of image generation or design generations? So I think for us, the clear problem was that there was no head of or owner of the vertical, and everyone was given the task of fending for themselves. It's you who took the subscription, your cost, give us the ROI number, right? The person who is taking the maximum benefit out of the tool may not necessarily be a business owner, of that entire vertical. So for us, when we call it failed experiments, it gives us a lot of learnings of not to blindly go after tools of implementation, but rather have a very top level alignment between business, tech, product, design, and everyone should work together, not just to sort of like make the other the owner of the P&L, but rather to have an alignment first, assign a workforce to kind of go after from a strategic point of view, and then start using the software tools. The tools are just a means to an end. The tools cannot be your strategy for AI. So that's just my 2 words on it.
Maybe I'll also just double down into what he said. So defining a measurement framework for like your ROI on whatever you're deploying here, right? This comes from a different standpoint. So either you'll do something which is gonna be cheaper for you, either that'll do job faster, right? And third, it'll do job more accurately, right? These are the main top three pillars that anybody like looks into from a business strategy standpoint. But to dive deeper into your question, you'll have to look this from a different perspective across different line of businesses. For example, um, let's talk about personalization and experimentation. You're making a creative, that creative is made by a designer. Now you can build creatives at a scale in one go, right? It's a quick win. So measuring your output in terms of how efficient you are. Thirdly, having one-to-one personalization instead of one personalization fits the scale, right? So those elements. Now talking from a developer tech perspective, if you have an e-commerce website, right, and if you're adding more products, the level of effort which is going to be reduced by just automating and creating a boilerplate and then having those codes ready, right? That is, I think, a quick win, right? Now, talking from different perspectives in terms of, I would say, marketing, we've covered. Now, documentation, right? A lot of people write codes, and a lot of time goes into documenting a lot of things. You can automate the whole process, right? So again, the success of any event has to be thought from a top down to a tactical initiative before you can take an ROI on that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I can take this question. So I think again the question is wonderful, uh, and that arise to start building something on data or AI. You have to understand the business. If you are not understanding business, it's difficult to drive the success. So anything is comes to business, returning the business value, That's the success. And before starting AI or any sort of data, even the dashboard, you cannot build the dashboard if you're not able to understand the business. Because I mean, you cannot convince your CXOs or the top management. So understanding the business and getting the business return or value, this is the success of AI or data.
That's it. Shakti, you want to give your point of view on this success for AI?
Sure. So, I mean, the way I do things is that first I define the KPI for that project, right? And a data project, AI project, dashboards, you name it. At the end of the day, it's a project, right? It could be a technology project or a new product development project, right? So you define the KPIs. If you're meeting that KPI, if you see some change there, then yes, you've done something right. So for example, in the travel industry, there's a KPI called L2B. It's a look to book ratio. What it says is out of every 100 searches, how many of those actually converted to a booking, right? In the B2B travel space for hotel bookings, it's around 8.5%. If I'm able to increase that even by a quarter of a percent, that's a huge benefit. And it may not lead to an increase in revenue, but it may lead to an increase in the efficiency of my system. That because now we do fewer searches, but make the same number of booking, right? So all these things are there. But at the end of the day, it's a project. Like it could be a technology project, data AI project. It's a project.